Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coast Files, our podcast for ocean mysteries and true crime. I'm Valak.
I'm Annabelle.
And I'm Clarice Starling of the FBI. Normally I wear layered to tamps, but not today.
Well,
That's a quote from the movie.
that is.
Love it.
I haven't watched it yet. It is normally my Halloween list to watch. So
Yeah.
since we're actually a month
watch it
before
this year.
Halloween,
I haven't watched it in
Should watch it
like
this year.
decades.
oh my
Like
God.
10 years, probably.
Okay.
Oh, Lindsay, it's
I know.
still as good as you remember.
Okay.
One time I was watching it while making like crystal catchers for my mom and I. So, just
Nice. That's sweet. I mean, it is a very crafty movie. It's a lot of sewing involved and crafts in general. And so, yeah, that's kind of on brand. Also, I mean, happy Halloween.
Happy
Yeah.
Or is it
Halloween.
tomorrow?
I'm glad Valak could be here,
Tomorrow.
and I know she's been busy haunting,
Yeah,
I
well,
have
nunneries
been.
and
It's
stuff.
what?
So
busy
and
year.
Annabelle,
Yeah.
you too. I mean, God, you're just haunting everyone.
I'm
you
finally
see.
get
passed
out from that
around.
glass.
It's been tough. Like, I'm just trying to find the
Yeah.
right home,
Well, and you deserve that. Like, you deserve to be loved for who you are and for what you do, which is terrorize everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm adorable still. Got some chips.
Oh,
in it,
obviously.
but,
You are, but
We are all huge fans.
Thank you.
yes. And for those that are listening and not watching and that are
Oh,
confused,
right.
we're all dressed up.
Oh, yeah,
for
we're dressed up.
Halloween.
Yeah.
And
So,
Chantal and I have kind of gone with the Conjuring vibe today.
Mhm.
I actually looked up to get the costume materials to be Lorraine with her ruffled collar.
Oh.
And I even found the vest and the skirt. So
Oh
I
my
will be
God.
doing that. But it's one of those things where I was just like so sick on the couch. I'm
Yep.
looking for a job. And I'm like, I can't spend like $200 to rush a costume when I already have one.
No. We have
So-
plenty of
And-
time to do this again. Like this is now the costume I wear all the time because I can't afford to buy a ton of costumes. So this is
yeah.
this is it. Like I might buy one other one for future Halloween.
And newsflash, is Megan sick again?
Yeah.
So,
This is the
she's sick
third
again.
time in
She's been going through
months.
it. Please help this
Yeah.
child.
I really need your thoughts and prayers right
Yes.
now.
we really need that Ko-fi so that we can buy her some vitamins.
Yeah.
Don't make me laugh.
Yeah. Benadryl.
Oh God. And this was not even my fault. I mean, obviously, when you get sick, normally it's not your fault anyway.
It's never your fault, yeah.
But Damien works in a college, which is just grown up daycare. So he got sick. Tell me I'm wrong. So he got very
Right.
very sick and was home for a couple of days. And I'm like, wow, this is weird. I haven't gotten sick yet. Little did I know, I
was
wasn't
brewing.
that sick. And
And you didn't knock
yeah.
on wood, did you?
Yes.
You said that and you
I
didn't
did.
knock on wood. That's your fault.
That's right.
And then
Well-
again, I just keep licking doorknobs. Can't quit that habit, man.
I somehow avoided getting sick, even though my little baby girl was sick all week. And she and I share food, and she also drinks from my water bottle. She calls it mommy
Wow.
water, and she only drinks from my water. And I get a new cup, and then she'll just drink from that. So she just wants whatever cup I drink out of. So somehow
cute. And same.
I
I
got a
also
little bit of
wanna
a
match
sore
you.
throat, but then it like passed over me. I was literally putting out there. I'm like, please, I can't get sick. I have to record my Halloween episode and take care of these
This is
children.
this is our Sunday
and
night football. This
Eric
is our
will be
Super Bowl.
like
This is our
so
Christmas.
upset if he has to take care of all of us. He did a great job.
Oh my God.
Taking care of me while I worked this week. So don't
Well,
want to do
I'm
that.
very
to him.
happy that it just kind of skimmed past you, and you seem to be
Yes.
better.
Yeah.
But you probably should just take it easy this weekend still, just in case.
Because you can't put her in daycare when she's sick, can you?
No, she had to
So you
stay
have to-
home. So, but luckily
God.
Eric works from home, so he just tried to not take many calls. And she
They
slept most
say
of the
that-
time. So
Aw,
it is
baby.
what it is. It is flu season. So
flu season starts in August now, guys. Did you know that? I learned
Does
that.
flu season
through
even
work.
end? I just feel like there's summer colds, then just transitions into the next season, then there's allergies. It's like it never ends.
Well, my allergies are every season. I'm allergic to something in every season. So yay me.
And also your cat, which lives with you.
We don't talk about that.
No, because it's not her fault. Okay, so
All right.
Halloween, like we said, is one of our
Halloween.
favorite holidays. I'm so excited because by doing this podcast, I feel like I get it twice, which is just awesome.
right.
Mhm.
And it actually is tomorrow as of the time of recording. So we are very pumped right now. I'm
So
gonna try to
everyone, we
take
wanna
the day
see your
off work
decorations.
because I don't know.
Yes,
I want to do Halloween stuff instead.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
I've been
It's a
decorated for
holiday.
over a month, but like Chantal just said, I want to see everyone's Halloween decoration. So when
And
this
then-
comes out, if you're listening, send us pics, please.
And then November 1st is Samhain. So,
Right.
get on
And
that
also
train.
Just it keeps going.
Dia de Muertos. Dia de los
Yes.
Muertos.
Oh,
So,
Oh,
we
and
made.
did
We'll
you
be
know that
Oh, there's
today?
more. What?
Did you know that today is National Ghost Hunting Day that we're filming?
Yes, I
what?
did because I already made a post
Oh,
about it.
I didn't know. Yeah. Well,
National Ghost
Megan is
Hunting
on all
Day.
the
So
holidays, so
Yes.
thank
I missed a
you
few in the summertime, but
for
now I'm going
bringing
to
it
be
up
back
as
on top.
Chantal. I mean, phallic.
Yes, yeah, Valak, Valak.
Yes.
What
I mean,
what a gorgeous name,
I know.
Valak.
But really, you
Is
don't really
that
want
like
people to know your
Romanian?
name, right? So because you don't want to be controlled. So maybe we'll bleep it
Yes.
out later. Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep it.
Okay.
Actually, could be because it sounds way more dramatic that way.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. Well, I'm so excited to get into the topic today.
Me
She's been
too.
keeping it a secret from
I've
us.
been keeping it a secret. So I wanted to pick something kind of spooky, but also like water related a little bit because, on
As per the
theme with
podcast
Coast
rules.
Files.
Mhm.
So what I'm about to tell you is the legend of a vengeful spirit that lurks near the water and lures her victims
What?
with a haunting wail. This is the story of La Llorona.
I know this.
Yeah.
So we're actually perfect.
Conjuring universe.
She is. So actually, I was looking up like what the connection was, and I think overall it wasn't really intended to be part of the universe. It was more a standalone.
It's very
but
light.
It's very light
light
connection.
still.
I think it just takes place in the same universe, and there's like one character, like Father Perez, I think he's in both.
Yes.
So with
Yeah,
Annabelle
who's also in.
and
Yes.
yeah.
Do you know
La
what
Llorona.
is I actually almost sent something to the group chat the other day because something came up and it was like this AI generated TikTok of La Llorona. And I was like, oh my God, a water ghost. Like, we should cover this.
Little did you know.
Well,
Lindsay was all
yes.
over it.
I would have had to play coy, like, yes, Chantel, let's cover it, but
yeah,
after
it'll get
Halloween.
here.
Yeah.
Well, so the name is pronounced a couple different ways. Like, from what I understand, the more the Spanish pronunciation is La Llorona, and then
Yeah,
it's
because
La
the double L is a
Llorona.
Y sound.
Right. It's like La Llorona if you're from like Mexico and Latin America. So I will try not to butcher the name as we go through this, especially because I don't want to be haunted, like obviously.
Fair.
Well,
And
and also, I mean, like, you're not a native Spanish speaker, so
No.
you're going to
What?
do your best. I don't think
Yeah.
people would be upset.
I struggle
Shocking, I
with
know.
French, and I study that for years. So I do not
You sound
expect
great when you speak French.
Well, thank you. It's literally like conscious effort. Every word I say, I have to be like, say it right, say it right. So
Yeah,
anyways,
that'll never be in
it's
Spanish.
taken a
I
long
just
time. And I would actually love to learn Spanish though, like, because now I'm in the States, Spanish is
Yeah.
basically the second language here. So
And
Mhm.
also in Chicago, there's a lot of Spanish speaking
right.
people.
Yeah. And in Grayson's school, his vice principal, she completely learned Spanish. She's fluent. She's so good. And like, so she does stuff in Spanish and English, which is nice
That's
because
so
a lot of
cool.
the population at school speaks Spanish as their first language. So it would be really cool to learn. I definitely want to learn some. Growing up in Canada, obviously we focused on French, but here in the States now, I would like to learn some
I
more
mean,
Spanish.
I can teach you a couple words. Like, you can say escuela. That
Ooh.
means school.
Okay. Well, then I could be like, just
There you
point to
go.
and be like, Escuela. They'll be like, wow, she's got
Hola,
it.
escuela.
I know.
Es mi hijo.
Una
Mi
cerveza, por
hijo
favor, which
es
comes in
mi
handy.
corazón.
Okay, you know a
Yeah,
lot.
the
All
one
right.
that you just said. Well, I know words, so I just threw them together.
I
Again,
know
it's
words.
like,
Yeah.
well, like it's when you try to create full sentences, I have a really hard time. But I remember like a lot of like vocabulary, so I just make a sentence that makes no sense, but it makes sense to me. Like my favorite
Well-
is "Donde están mis pantalones?" That means
Where are
where are
my
my pants?
It
That's a
sounds
classic.
like just like a fun language, right?
It is really fun.
Like, you know
And,
how
like-
German's supposed to sound kind of more angry and like intense, and like Spanish to me just
Yeah,
sounds like fun and like I'm ready to party.
Spanish
I
is
think-
really,
I
really
think
fun
I've
to learn, really fun to
spoken about this
write.
before that Russian also sounds really
Intense.
intense.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you guys always yelling at each other? He's like,
They're like, we're
not.
happy.
Yeah, we're having a
Like,
conversation.
doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you guys are having a fight.
All right. Well, so let's get into the La Llorona. Okay.
Yes, please. I'm so excited.
All right. So she is a spirit that comes from Mexican and Latin American mythology and is said to let out an eerie wail and scream to lure people to their deaths, often by
Can you
the
give-
rivers, but it can
Can
happen
you give us an
anywhere.
example of the whale?
I mean, I don't even know. I actually tried my best to get a story out of, so one of my close friends here, her friend, he is Hispanic and apparently he's encountered her. And I was trying to track him down this week to get that
This
story.
isn't the person that we all know, is it?
No, no.
Okay.
I did actually try. I reached out to every Hispanic friend I have and like their moms pretty much to try to get stories. I did get one story. So I will be
Okay.
sharing that today from my friend Cecilia.
Like, cool.
But I
Very,
didn't
very
get
cool.
this other story. So if it comes up later and I connect with him, which I will eventually, I will share that with you guys in
We
the
can add it
future.
in. I mean,
Yeah.
technically, we still have a month to add it in,
That's
so
true. I could be like, add in the story
yeah.
here or some
Here.
point. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I get that story, I will add it in. It would be really cool to have like a real encounter story because this is
Heck
actually,
yeah.
while it is, in mythology and a ghost story, it's actually something that a lot of people in Latin America and Mexico, even southern United States, they truly believe this is real. So I'm not going to say it's not real. I don't know.
Mhm.
But
I
people
know that
have
you're going to cover
said,
it.
yeah.
Is it's like, so is the movie pretty much following the myth, but it's just made to be more Hollywood, or is it not quite the
Yes,
same?
it's not quite. I mean, so you'll come actually to see, and I'm going to talk about this, is there's so many different origin stories, and there's so
Oh,
many
okay.
different versions of
Yeah.
La Llorona. So I would say the movie, I guess in my opinion, from what I've heard, it's not maybe quite accurate, and it doesn't. I watched the movie. I don't know if you've seen it. I thought it was
Yes.
Mhm.
creepy, but it doesn't really have a ton of story. Like it could go in more depth, which is kind of I think some
Yeah.
of the downfall of some of the Conjuring movies. And I love the Conjuring movies. I think they're
Yeah.
so creepy. But
Yeah.
even with the Nun, we watched that, right, Chantal, and we were like, I
Yeah.
wanted more story here. Like, but why? Like, so
Yeah.
Okay. I agree because Chantel's character, who she is right now, has zero storyline whatsoever, and it's like one of the creepiest things I think that you've ever seen, like in a recent, horror
right.
genre. And there's no storyline, and that's what makes it creepier. Like, so I thought that in the movie La Llorona. I'm gonna say like Llorona. That's how
Yeah,
Canadians and Americans will
yeah,
probably
go
say it.
ahead.
I just thought that the hauntings were so scary. The jumps, like I hate jump scares because they're just
Right.
cheap, but they were still pretty creepy, pretty scary. And the storyline was just so like I don't know, like flat a little. Like if you really give them a great backstory, it makes it that much scarier, I think.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
origin story.
And I really
Yeah.
want,
So I
especially
mean,
like Nun 2, I'm like, "Oh, are you gonna give me more now?"
uh
No.
I
I
still
haven't
haven't
watched
watched
that
the
one yet.
nuns.
Oh, okay. You
I
haven't
know. I've
watched
been
your own
saving it
movie
for
yet. All
Halloween.
right, well, get on that this
No. I
Halloween.
started
Because
it.
she's just so humble, She
But
just
right.
I don't
It's
like to
hard to see
watch things
yourself
when I'm
on screen,
starving.
right?
It really is.
right.
Like your
Stop
teeth could have
making
been
me
a little more
laugh.
yellow, but like, your nails could have been a little more grimy,
What can
but
I
it's okay.
do?
You
What
still
can I
looked
do?
great.
Wait, did you wash your hands today, Viv or Valak, whatever your name is? Don't
No.
wash your hands. Yeah, okay, good. Keep them
Okay.
as dirty
Keep
as
it like that.
possible.
Keep it like that for next Halloween. Then they'll be good. Okay.
Okay. I've been digging in the dirt.
I was gonna say like dig some holes and
Just never wash them again. Okay. So this is, like I said, a very popular story in Latin America and especially in Mexico and southern United States, especially during Dia de los Muertos or Dia de Muertos. Call it either way. It's just slightly variation. And this is the Day of the Dead, which follows November 1st to 2nd.
Mhm.
And which I think like outwardly, I'm like, this is just such a interesting holiday. It's like visually stunning.
Mhm.
I remember I first learned about it when I was watching this Halloween movie called The Halloween Tree. It's like this animated movie that I loved as a
You
kid.
mentioned that in the last
Yeah,
one,
I
which I haven't
did.
seen yet,
And
but
that's where I
it's
first
on my
learned
list.
about Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, side note, during the time of recording, which is a little bit earlier than the day of release, it's
What?
actually,
Don't break the illusion.
I know, we record the morning of, we released at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But it is Hispanic Heritage Month, which is September 15th to October 15th. So
Oh,
this
cool.
story
Okay.
just during the time of filming comes at I think, a great time. So La Llorona translates to the weeping woman or the crying woman, some variation of this.
Aw.
There's a lot of stories of how she came to be. It is often said that the woman was once named Maria, and she had two sons with her husband, who one day left her for another woman. In her anger, she took her sons down to the water and drowned them. After realizing what she had done, she took her own life and drowned herself. And then it is said her spirit roams around the water, crying out for her sons. My sons, where are my sons?
Oh, damn.
So
That's
another
sad.
origin story, and this one is from my friend Cecilia. Thanks, Cece. So this is
Yeah,
a
thank you so
story.
much. This is so cool.
Yeah, this is actual story she was told as a child by one of her like older cousins. And the story goes that La Llorona was a single mother with 5 children. She struggled as a single mom and wasn't able to really provide for them or feed them very well. But one day, her luck changes as she meets a wealthy, rich man, and he falls for her and decides to marry her. So she and the children move in with him. Everything seems to be going well, but one day her husband comes to her saying that he's struggling to provide for all of them and that he just simply can't afford it. So what does she do? She decides to take one of her children. She picks her oldest son because he's been kind of like annoying, I guess, and he's a teenager. So he was very difficult. So she decides to choose him. She takes him down to the water and she drowns him. The
Jesus.
next year, her husband has the same thing. You know, the children are getting older. It's hard to provide. So she takes another one of her children down to the river, drowns them. She does this every year until she gets to her last child, her favorite daughter. And her daughter, knowing what's happening, begs for her life, screaming, knowing her mother is purely evil. She kills her daughter. The next day, her husband decides he can't be with this woman who's sacrificed her whole family for money and for a man. He leaves her, and all she has left is the home with all the memories of her children that she has murdered. She slowly goes crazy, and she takes her own life eventually with the guilt weighing heavy. So you can see her kind of spiral from all this. Anyway,
There's a lot
now,
to
Jesus.
unpack there.
yeah, exactly. So sometimes you can hear her cry out for her children at night. So do not linger, do not go in dark spaces. And if you do, she may be there lurking, waiting to take you. So that was
Am
pretty.
I too old for her to take me?
You know
I,
what?
I
Like
just
a
have
lot of the stories I've heard about her is that it's children and like men. So I don't know if she often takes women, but I think she does affect women. I'm going to talk about that as we
Okay.
go along.
I can see her like drowning a kid and look at Chantal like, you get it, right? Like,
Yeah.
just and P.S. You killed every annoying teenager. None of us would make it to adulthood ever.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's very
Like,
fair.
just like teens are meant to test you in every way.
Yeah.
Eventually, most of them become cool. But I mean, if you're never gonna know if you keep killing all your kids,
You're never
Maria.
gonna know.
Exactly. It's actually, I think that's pretty scary to hear as a child. I feel like it's kind of scary now. So I can
I
Yeah,
mean,
imagine.
that would scare me into not being annoying.
well, and
Yeah.
also like, is your mom telling you this? Okay, time for a bath. I'd be like, holy shit,
Yeah. Like, no thanks,
that's
mom. I'll just
yeah, creepy.
shower um,
Alone.
alone.
Just give me that washcloth and I'll lock the door and leave me alone.
Exactly. So it actually is interesting because La Llorona is often used as a scare tactic for parents in Latin America to warn their children to not stay out late, and that would have worked for me for sure. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
so it
I'm
said
home.
she can appear to mothers, take their children, thinking they could be her own. So in some lore, she can't go into the afterworld if she doesn't have her children. She can't find them. So that's why she wanders around looking for children. And when she realizes they're not her children, she will drown them.
Oh
So,
God.
She's a real problem with just drowning people in
right.
general. Like my God.
Some other lore says that men wandering around, especially near bodies of water, will be targeted by her. So, because she doesn't like men either.
Well, because if you're going based on like the lore, especially the one that your friend Cece said, it's because she's now putting all of that blame onto the husband. Like, you're the
Right.
reason why I did all
I
this, which
did
is
all
like,
this. Yeah.
lady, like you killed your own kids. Like, he's an asshole, but like you made your choice.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Repeatedly.
I can see now, and I'm curious to hear how she affects women,
Yes.
because I can draw the line, like maybe she
Well,
somehow affects their mood and makes the women want to kill their kids. Like,
right. So, some sources say too that if you do hear her wail and it starts to sound like it's further away, it actually means she's getting closer to you. So I thought that was
What
What?
super
the
creepy.
fuck?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I hate that. So if you hear it super loud, you're the safest that you could be.
Right. Is like how terrifying is
Very
that?
counterintuitive. I hate it. I hate it
Right.
Yeah.
so much.
So if you ask people with Latin American heritage, especially those in Mexico and southern United States, you will find out that many say this, like I said, is more than just a story that they've heard her. So, and a lot of them might have encounter stories or know someone in their family that has encountered her. So it's quite a big deal. And I was trying to think of like, they said it's like kind of like the boogeyman, which I don't think my parents ever talked about, but we have those stories we grew up with, right? Like we had, I remember like Bloody Mary. I don't know if you guys
Oh
were
yeah.
ever told
How
that.
do I
If you go in
remember? I
the,
was one like, come on guys, let's go in the bathroom and
of
turn off the
course you were.
light.
I was like, I don't want, don't want to test this out.
I think I got as far as, like, going in the bathroom and turning off the lights, and I was like, "I can't say anything." Like, I'm still scared to look in the mirror at nighttime. I
Me
still won't do
too.
it. If I have
Like,
to pee in the middle of the night, like, I do not look in the mirror.
thankfully, both our
Mirror
bathrooms have windows, so they're never pitch black.
Yes.
mine is pitch black, if you recall. Mine has no
Yes, I
windows.
do.
Um, we have a little like mirrored cabinet underneath. Like Chantel probably remembers more because she's here more often. And you just slide one side to one side. So like there's Damien's side and my side, and that's fine. But if there was a medicine cabinet, which did you guys have one in your old place? Medicine cabinet.
Yeah, I did.
So
Mhm.
I'm always terrified, and this is because of movies, not because of like just
So you're gonna
folklore.
open
Yeah,
it?
that if it's open a little bit and then you close it, there's gonna be something behind you. And
Oh,
every
yeah.
Yeah.
I had one of those in Halifax, and my roommate would never close it all the way, and I would have to like flatten against the wall and like close it and then look. And I was like, listen, and I had to like sit her down and have like a roommate talk. I'm like, you can't keep doing this because
Like
I can't take it anymore. And she was like, holy shit, okay.
I mean, that's
Anyway,
a
it's fine.
valid concern, I think.
Just
mhm.
like my brain was like, something's gonna be behind you as soon as you straighten that mirror out.
Yeah.
Never
Well, I
was.
mean, that's
I'm
fair.
fine. Good.
See, mine
Yeah,
has that too, but it's mirror on both sides. So I'm like, all right, I'm always in the know. I'm always seeing. So hopefully it's fine.
always seeing everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have anything in like Canadian culture or East Coast culture that's quite as intense as
No,
this.
I think we
We
have
just have
smaller
like the
stories. I
general,
think this is just
yeah,
more like widespread, I think, in
Mhm.
which is it's
Hispanic
kind of
culture.
interesting. I wish that we had more. I mean, I know it's a scary story, but I wish we had more cool culture. We have like under the bed, in the closet.
Right.
Yeah, Boogeyman, Bloody
But at the
Mary.
same
That's
time,
kind
like
of
I
it.
kind of don't want like La Llorona stay south, please.
Stay
Yeah,
in
no,
your lane.
we don't want her.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And it'll actually come up because there's other stories and things out there that are very kind of parallel to La Llorona. And so there's kind of reference to characters like her in other cultures, like in Europe and stuff that are like have similarities to the story, especially because the stories
Jealous.
has evolved and there's so many different versions depending on where you've heard it. I just think the overarching theme is usually the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so interesting.
Yeah. So what does she look like? I mean, I haven't seen her.
Beautiful, I
Exactly.
bet.
So
I
there's
assume she looks
If
like me
Uh, I mean,
right now.
some versions, yeah. I mean, not like a nun, but there are different versions. Some say she's dressed in white with a veil. Others say she's dressed in all black. Phallic,
Okay.
stealing your look.
Well, you
Um,
know.
and then others say she has like the bones of her children on her and stuff. There's so many different versions. There's actually I want you to look at the first photo I have, and this is a
Mhm.
statue of her in Mexico. So in this version, you can see she's like a skull kind of, but she has
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
veil.
And then I'm obviously it's a really kind of cool like natural looking sculpture because she has like a
Mhm.
rope,
Yeah,
like
the
a
rope
woven
skirt
rope
thing.
dress.
Right.
Yeah.
She almost doesn't look
She
so
doesn't look
scary in this version.
well. She looks cool, but she looks very much like a like indigenous like
Right.
Mexico themed art, like the skull shape, the way it's designed.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a woman, I would say,
No,
but okay.
it's a stretch.
I think I think if you zoom in, there's some boobies. I think. I don't know.
Maybe. That's true. I
And
don't know if
those
it's her.
could
I don't
be
know if it's her
some.
arms or what, but
Those
Oh,
boobies may
fair.
need some
look at
TLC
the
if those
feet
are in
though. It looks
fact
like
boobies.
kind of like
She
dinosaur
is
feet.
her feet remind me of my feet, actually. Yeah.
Is that a
Those
compliment
are
for her?
easily those are ea no, it's we're both in the same boat. It's easily a size 13 shoe here.
He's like
I don't
It's
know
a
why you
reasonable
have
size.
such big feet, Megan. You're like the
I don't
shortest.
I don't under you know what? You can blame Hector McPherson. Yeah, I just called him out by name, so that's him. You can blame him.
Yeah.
we will.
Hobbit feet.
Because I have like seven
This
and a half size feet, and I'm just think I'm slightly taller than you, but you have
my
like
mom had size, like, Barbie shoe. Like, she's the smallest feet of anyone I've ever met.
And I'm the tallest, and I only have an 8.5, sometimes a 9. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the shortest, and I have, I'm,
What
like,
size are you?
comfortably a 10.
Okay.
10.
I'm 10. On a good day, like, some sneakers, I could be, well, 9.5, but sometimes even 9. You know how every freaking brand is different,
Right.
but,
Yes.
like, 10 is, like, safe. Like,
I know.
why?
I go between 7 and 8 depending on the shoe. So like usually dress
Average
shoes are
woman.
7 because I have to be like,
How how
snug.
nice.
So the exact origins of La Llorona aren't completely known, but there are references that date back to the 1500s. So the earliest potential visual of her is from 1570 in the Florentine Codex, and this was a research document created by a Franciscan, maybe I'm saying that wrong, friar named
I think you're
Bernardino.
right. You're right the first time.
Probably
Franciscan.
we'll take out the mess up one later.
No, no, Chantel, leave it in.
I can't. She can only do it in the
I can do
audio.
it.
In the
I am
video,
the
I'm
editor of the audio. I can make it. I
Damn.
can do whatever I want. So
You
anyway,
have too much power. It's gone
I
right to your head.
really do. um, named Bernardino de Sahagún. I might be saying that wrong. Of Spain,
Sounds brightish.
There we are.
right?
Sounds great to me.
And it was about the cultures in Mesoamerica, which is the historical name for the areas including Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, parts of Costa Rica, Honduras, and Nicaragua. So if you want to take a look at that photo, that is the drawing from this document from 1570. And they
Oh,
believe
it's
this
cute.
could be the first visual of her.
Actually, that
Oh.
looks like the statue. Like the hands kind of look similar.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it, but like just the
No,
way the
that is
hand,
good
like the
point.
wrist,
Yeah.
kind of looking. This is a cute little sketch, though.
So during his research, he heard from people of this region, like native to the region. I'm going to say this wrong now. I forget how to pronounce it. It's Nahuatl, N-A with an accent, Huatl. And so the story goes that what he heard from them was that back in 1509, so 10 years before the Spanish conquest, the Aztec emperor, he was claiming to have really terrible premonitions and omens about the end of his reign. And he heard stories of people saying that they could hear a woman wailing at Lake Texcoco. I'm probably saying that wrong too. I'm sorry.
No, it sounds like a cool name.
This is the lake around the capital of, I'm not going to say this right, Tenochtitlan. Probably
This
butchering
case
it.
is really
I
putting me
tried
We
on
are
to,
going to pop these up on the
Mexican.
screen so they
right,
can see
we'll
what
put
we are
up the
trying
name
to
on the
do.
screen right now because
I
I
actually love that
I
because
wrote down
what
like
if
different
someone
ways
is
to pronounce
listening?
it and I'm already like, what did I write?
I do that all the
Yeah,
time. I'll even like spell it out phonetically, and then I'm like,
so
I
do
don't
I.
remember what I was trying to say. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
You're
it's
not alone.
difficult for me. So we'll put that name on the screen and I'll make sure it's on in the references and stuff too. But this is the capital of the Aztec Empire, which is present day Mexico City. Which
That's cool.
another fact I learned that was really interesting is this lake. So you've actually the next photo, you can see where I'm talking
Okay.
about. So the city's in the middle of the lake.
Oh, wow. Wait.
And yeah, so
So
I'm gonna get to it.
okay, this is really cool.
So
Okay,
this lake
I'm
was
watching.
actually mostly drained after the Spanish conquest due to flooding, and it's had a lot of bad consequences for the ecosystem there. And there's actually a lot of water issues in Mexico City to this day because they've drained the lake. And it's
I was gonna
also
say,
the
like,
city was
I don't recall.
so the city's actually built on this site, which was formerly a lake, and
What?
now the lake is gone. I know, I did not know this. There's also I've heard in the city there's some areas where it's like You might see like buildings that are slanted and stuff because of the ground being originally a water bed, right? So
Huh.
I just hate
I
humans so much. They're like, let me just drain this massive lake that's been here, after the dinosaurs
But I
right.
mean, like, how
because
long ago was this? Did they even realize that there would be consequences to what they're
It
doing?
sounded like they started doing this like literally in like the 15 or 1600s. Like it was a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Way before consequences were a thought of
well,
what
and
are we
even
doing?
and you even so, it wouldn't be in their lifetime likely
Yeah.
that they would really notice. But I just like, yeah, I would have never have guessed that Mexico City used to be like, in fact, an island kind of in the middle of a giant lake. Like
Right.
this sounds crazy
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was back when it was part of like the Aztec Empire. This is the capital.
That's so neat.
Right. So the woman that I mentioned that the emperor was hearing about was actually a demon called Shikota. Shikotu.
Shakira?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
going to say that wrong.
Shakira.
So the spelling, it's Ciacoatl or also Cihuacoatl. So I'll put that up on the screen too.
I gotta be honest, looking even at this map, I couldn't pronounce any of these. And modern day, like Mexican Spanish, there's no relation whatsoever that I can see. Like, and there's so many Z's and there's so many X's.
I know, right? Let
Language
me,
is interesting, you guys.
it really is. Maybe I can just quickly get it up.
Because isn't like Oaxaca cheese spelled like XO something? Like, it's just really.
Don't ask me. You know how I am with languages.
Tenochtitlan.
Tenoch.
Tenochtitlan.
Okay.
That sounds like a really cool, like indigenous kind of word.
It
I mean,
is.
which I guess it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, our stupid Canadian
Well, now
palates have a hard
I
time
can
saying
edit the
those words.
audio and take this what I said and put
There
it
we go.
back where I was
Say it
supposed
like
to
4
say.
times right now. I can still
Right.
try and do that in the video.
Tenochtitlan. Yeah, I'm already messing it up. I
We're all
apologize.
learning here together.
Right. This is from a language that is not very spoken. I think it's maybe regionally some people still speak the language,
Mhm.
Oh,
but
so it's not
it's
quite
not
dead, but it's okay.
right. It's not
Just not
very, you know, spoken very frequently. So there's only probably a few people out there that can get really mad at me, right?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So the emperor, the woman that I mentioned that he could hear, or there was rumors that she could be heard by the water wailing, was this demon. And others say this demon was actually an ancient Aztec goddess associated with children who would always go around with this little cradle and things like that. She had
Okay.
snake-like qualities and would walk the streets at night wailing. It was also said that she was an omen of war to come, which goes hand in hand with the emperor's fear that, hey, there's going to be
Yeah.
war, something's going to happen, I'm going to lose like my throne.
Yeah.
So, also like La Llorona, it is said that this goddess or demon is associated with infanticide, and that's where that connection could have came from originally.
I can definitely see the connections for
Yeah.
sure.
So, a lot of scholars believe that the connection confirms that La Llorona's origin is from the Aztec Empire originally.
That's so freaking cool, man. Mexico is just a very old area.
Yeah,
Like,
like
my God.
I would love to. I feel like a lot of people go to Mexico and they just go to like resorts and chill, which is fine. Like
Mhm.
I've done that before, but I got to stay in. I went to Cozumel, which is an island, and it was much more an
Mhm.
authentic experience. Stayed with like a little Airbnb type thing with like
That'd be
a
cool.
an actual run by people from the island and
Yeah, who
had
are not
local
looking just to
food and
buy
stuff. It was such
property
a
and
cool experience. So I'm glad I got a little bit of both, but I would love to go and actually explore some of the history. It's really,
there's
really
there's a
fascinating.
YouTuber that I watch, and his name is, Joshua Wiseman, I think it's how you say his last name, and he's pretty popular on YouTube. You probably have seen, like, his thumbnails before. He's like a home cook guy, and he did this thing, and it was, like, 24 hours in Mexico City, and he was, like, rating the best tacos for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert, and he had something like 80 tacos or 100 tacos, and he almost had, like, a breakdown because he's like, "I'm gonna fucking blow up, I'm so full." and he had this really, really cool guy. I think she's a chef as well,
Mhm.
and she's a local. And they went around to literally like almost 100 restaurants, and I was like, I just
Okay, this is a
need to go to
research
Mexico.
I could get down
I
with.
know. Like, I just and Mexico is such a beautiful old city, and I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of, obviously, the indigenous people were just, as the Europeans would do, just went
Mhm.
and decimated, which is horrendous. So, I mean, the city maybe is not as reflective of as Mexico in general, but
Mhm.
it's a very, very old city.
Right.
And just like you were saying, Lindsay, in terms of most Canadians, it is just like beach experiences is what normally we go for.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to like go see the main city, go see maybe towns or villages that are a little more authentic.
Mhm.
Because I feel like all I do, I've been there twice and it's been beach vacations each time
Yeah. We'll have to go at some point.
for research.
Yes, of course, and for obviously the food.
Well, that's part of the research.
Yeah.
It's part of the research.
So the emperor's feelings were actually pretty spot on and justified because only 10 years later, the Spanish conquest would begin in 1519, led by Hernan Cortez. Next photo. And look at this
Oh,
guy. Like, it looks like this image, for those listening, it's a painting, and they do not paint him very flat in a flattering light. It looks like his
he looks
face
He
is
looks like a
intense,
melting into
Star Wars
passionate.
shape.
character. You know what I'm talking about? The Star Wars ones where they look like their faces are melting off like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, but yes, but we say melted off. I get that.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, the painter had the option to not paint him like this, and they chose to. So, yeah, he didn't get any, I don't even
They had
know
the
if it's
option not
possible
You
to
you
have a
you can
face like
tell
this.
you can tell that when Hernando walked in the room, he probably was like, "Hurry up!" And the artist is like,
Got you. No problem.
"Okay, I'll hurry up. Don't worry."
So he was basically the first governor of New Spain, and he was leading the Spanish conquest, which we know what happened there. Well, maybe we don't,
No
but
bueno.
we know it
Some
was
more
no bueno,
Spanish for you.
right? So upon his arrival, he meets a young indigenous woman who was likely enslaved, and he made her his translator and advisor. And because she knew the languages and she knew about, you know, the Aztec
Yeah.
people, he was
Smart girl that she could
actually,
also speak both languages, though.
yeah, I guess maybe she picked it up. I'm not sure how that all worked out, but she was instrumental into the success of the Spanish conquest because she was able to help him with
Mm.
translations and, you know, giving them the inside scoop of what was going on there. So because of this, many people actually saw her as a traitor, and she was given the name La Malenche. I might be saying that wrong too, but this is often interpreted as the interpreter or the traitor potentially. So this is not her real
How is
name.
that her fault? If she's literally enslaved and she's been picked up by this guy, like, how is that her well, anyway, that's just it's always a
Right.
woman's fault, right?
Well,
Mm,
because
okay.
probably people have the mentality of you should just die instead of helping him,
Yeah,
where,
Yeah.
that's easy for them to say.
I was about to say easier said than done.
Yeah. Now, many people have said she was just simply used as a scapegoat later on, but a lot of people blamed her. Well, some people also praised her because they're like, well, you brought Christianity to this area. And also back in this time too, the Aztecs would sometimes do things like sacrificing like
Mhm.
children
They
and things like
loved
that.
that.
So
There's that soccer
it,
game or whatever with heads.
Yeah.
right, it brought kind of an end to some of those traditions that they would have, the Spanish would have said are maybe like barbaric or something like that. So it kind of, in some ways, they're
Well,
like, well, she
they
helped.
negate human heads as barbaric,
She helped
like anyway.
end some of these practices, but at the same time, she basically helped the Spanish take over Mexico. So
Mhm.
I feel like
there's
if it wasn't
different
her, it would have been
stories.
someone else, but
Uh,
anyway.
right. What really put it over the edge was that she ultimately had his first child, which is out of wedlock, a boy named Martin Cortez. So they're like, you're
Oh my
also
god.
having children with him, like you're sleeping with the enemy. So that did not
I'm
go
sure it
well.
was all willingly,
I
yes.
know, I was gonna say, I know that, Lindsay,
Right.
that you're just
And
telling the
there
story
was nothing like that said like, this was like a romantic relationship. It was more like
because it was
maybe,
not.
right. It was like enforced upon her too. So we don't know. We'll never probably know all the details, but
I mean, I think that we probably know.
right.
It could also
No,
be one of those proximity things too, like maybe she did, but yeah, likely not.
right. Like Stockholm syndrome type thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know, but she was given a lot of blame for, you know, the
Everything.
conquest being
Existing.
successful, or at least being successful as fast as it was.
Oh my God,
So when the
poor
boy
kid.
was 6, her nan wanted to take the boy back to Spain, and basically he was going to leave her behind. I'm not sure how she
He
felt about
so
that, but
he was like, "Oh, like, this is my son," like, he was openly admitting, like, "I have a
right,
child,"
yeah,
like,
he was, yeah, which
that's
was
rare, okay.
right. And around this time too, not everyone approved of the interracial relationships,
Yeah.
especially those children that came from those relationships. So there was a story that she heard about this, and before the boy could leave, in her anger, she decided to drown the child. Now, this is actually not true, though, but it sparks another one of
Oh,
the stories that relate back to La Llorona.
yeah, I
So
was just
she
like, "Damn,"
actually,
like, if that
yeah,
is
he
weird, but
actually did leave, and he lived a long life. I don't know anything about the son's life, but he did not. He was not killed by his mother.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
but it was just an interesting story to hear, especially with like her being, basically blamed for so many things. But as women are for a lot of stuff, we can't do anything right. Like, you know, and like the speech from the Barbie movie, where she's like, yeah, you can do
Oh, yeah, I was bawling my eyes out,
Yeah.
right.
holding on to Chantel, we're both looking at each other like, true, like,
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
But ultimately, it just led to her being a potential origin or beginning for La Llorona. And also
Well, and
because
also
people want
too,
to
like,
blame her and put that kind
but
of negativity
but you
on
said
her.
that her son was taken back to Spain, right, for all that we know,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like, there wasn't like Twitter, like, "Oh, by the way, my son's gone," like, no one knew, they just knew that her son was now not here. People, I'm sure, were like, "Oh, she's so terrible. I bet
Yeah.
you she did this," and then before you know it, it becomes like the truth, you know?
Yeah. Excuse me. Sneeze.
Bless you. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Chantel,
Yes. I
actually,
mean,
your
it's
job
hard
saying
to
bless
know
you,
what
but
she knew
whatever.
or not, but she ultimately, I think, married another Spanish man and had more children and stuff too. So it's all we know is that specific story about her drowning her son did not happen.
Okay.
But it still
Well, that's
was one
good.
of the
Good, yeah.
stories
One
that
good
came
thing.
out of this and how she was kind
Yeah.
of blamed for that. So the earliest literary reference to La Llorona was a poem by Manuel Carpio, written in 1849. So first time pen to paper, she's referenced.
Quill to parchment?
Exactly. So here's a rough translation. This is from one of my sources that I found on the Library of Congress website. So here it goes. Pale with
That's a really cool
terror,
thing to say, Lindsay.
I thank you. Pale with terror, I heard it told when I was a child, an innocent child, that a bad man in my town once did to death his wife, Rosalia. And since then, in the shadowy night, the trembling, frightened people hear the sad whimpering of a suffering woman, whimpering such as she made in her agony. For a certain time, she ceases in her lament, but then she breaks out in prolonged weeping, and alone she traverses the streets. She fills everyone with mortal fear, and close by the river in the thick darkness, she goes weeping, wrapped in her cloak. So here's another kind of version
Okay.
where it's like, she was killed by her
Yeah.
husband. So I have seen other versions too where, maybe she didn't kill her kids, but they were killed. And then in her grief, she killed herself. So there's other variations too where she wasn't necessarily the child murderer, but in a lot of the
I
ones she
prefer
was.
I prefer no one get murdered,
I
but I
prefer
like the
that
ones
too.
where she doesn't murder her kids. That's the one that I like more,
Right.
where she didn't kill 5 children.
Another reference of her comes up in 1947 in a book called The Treasury of Mexican Folkway, written by Frances Torr. And this is the story of a young woman named Louisa who fell in love with a man from a higher class. They had a relationship, but they did not marry. They had children together, and everything was well until his family pressured him to marry someone of his class. So eventually he was going to leave her and do that. And when she found out in anger, she stabbed her children, all 3 of them,
Oh
and
my
was
god.
later put to death for her crimes. And then her lover
Shit.
died by suicide after the grief of all this happening.
So no one won. Okay.
No one won. So that's another
Wow.
variation. A lot of them are drowning, but some of them are stabbing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is weird because the water seems to be like a big part. So it's interesting that some don't include water at all. But
Right. Yeah. I mean, I chose her because of the water kind of reference for our
no,
podcast,
of
but
course, of
Fair.
course. I mean,
there's
even if there was no water, it's
right.
still a cool story. Like, but
Exactly. Some say she appears even, away from the water, by the water. pretty much anywhere. Like, seems like nowhere is safe. So this
Bathtub.
is really creepy. In 1986, a woman in Texas took 7 of her children to the river and attempted to drown them all. 2 of them died and 5 lived. So it
This is
turned out,
real?
yes, this is real. This woman was
Oh
suffering
my
from
god.
bipolar disorder and probably other mental health problems, and
Yeah.
potentially had some, potentially abusive relationship things going on. But what's really scary is that she claimed to be La Llorona, and which is why she did
Damn.
what she did. Yes.
Jesus. Didn't
That's a
that
mental
also happen in
health
the movie
crisis.
Mother? Didn't
Uh,
she, like,
y
drown her kids in that one? I
yeah.
can't remember.
It's like
I don't recall her drowning. Her child was
No,
ripped
no, sorry,
apart by
not
a
not
crowd.
not the Mother one where she's supposed to be representative of Earth. I'm talking about the other, it's a creepy one, and they're
Oh,
her
I no, I have
mom.
it on my list, but I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, okay.
okay. I think I saw that one, but it is
Yeah, I
like
think
kind
we
of
watched it
a
together.
it's kind of like a common, even like one of in the first Conjuring movie, it's like the mother's once the demon takes hold of her, of course. So but
Yeah.
it's still that kind of same theme of the mother trying to like hurt her children. Um, and which is like a real thing, like women who have postpartum depression. There
Yeah.
could be other mental health issues. There
There's
was
so many cases, actually, it's,
there's
like,
so
horrific,
many.
but
There was like that big one in the
yeah.
90s, that woman who claimed like a black man,
Susan
like,
Smith.
right, something like that.
Also, there was Diane Downs.
Right. That's another one I'm going to mention. So, um, yeah, the first one, the one that's Susan Smith, right? She said that like a black man was responsible, this whole
Stole her car with
story,
her
and
kids
she
inside,
had
yeah.
like
Holy shit.
drowned her kids in like the car in the water. So her 2 boys died, and turned out later that she was just trying to like get with this man or something who didn't want children.
Didn't
So
want
she's like,
kids.
I'll just take them out. Um,
Sure, they're no longer a thing then. That's how that works,
right.
right? You can just
And
give them
then
back.
in the
So bad.
90s, they had the Diane Downs, or so that's the 80s is Diane Downs, I think.
I can't even
She
remember.
had bipolar disorder, and I think I was mixing those up. Susan Smith, I don't know if she actually had a mental health issue besides just being
The
evil.
Diane Downs is a narcissist and is a
Right.
psychopath.
She's a sociopath.
You have
She
something wrong with you if you're doing that to your
she
kids.
shot 3 of her kids, 1 died, and the other 2 had like lifelong problems because of it.
Disabilities,
Right.
bedridden or, like, wheelchair.
Exactly.
PS, in that case, though, the prosecutor adopted those 2 kids for his own,
Oh
by
my
the way.
gosh. Oh yeah.
I was, like,
I
bawling
didn't
my
even
eyes
know
out.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine having that, like, her as a mother, like, oh my god. And then she was trying to, like, I guess, get with this married man who was like, "No, she's stalking me," and I was worried she was gonna murder my wife too, like,
Well, he
clearly.
was having sex with her. They were, like, having
Right,
an
they were having a
affair.
relationship, so
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, this is just for fun, right?" And she's like and then
yeah,
you
I'm
try to break
right.
up with someone, you're like, "Oh, man, no, I just, like, don't really want kids," and all this stuff. She's like, "Oh, well, no problem." And
Mhm.
fucking anyway, so
Um,
depressing.
did I not tell you guys to look at my last photo? I forgot. I
Oh, here it is.
of Marina, the Lemanche. Oh,
Oh. Is
I
she the one
totally
that you were
forgot.
talking about?
Yeah, I just realized I was
Okay.
going through, I'm like, "I didn't tell you to look at her." We'll have to, like, flash it back
She
later.
looks great.
That's okay, I'll still put it in where
You
it's
put
supposed to
in
go in.
when she's yeah.
I'm having some wig issues, guys. Look, this is my real hair popping out. Don't
I
look at
feel like
it.
this color looks so good on you, though.
Wait, you're not Clarice?
Uh, thank you, Lindsay. It's not so far off of what I probably could have been if my jeans had gone a little bit one more direction, but anyway.
Listen. All right. I don't have too much more actually to go. So, so as we've seen, there's many versions of her, many comparable stories. So some say like, other like white woman ghosts could be compared to her from like European stories. And that's why some of her origin can be like kind of confusing, even though
Hmm.
ultimately I think it does probably come from the Aztec story that I mentioned earlier.
There's a lot that lines up, it sounds like.
Right. Actually, and every year now since 93 during de los Muertos, there is a play about her. So she is like kind of
That's
discussed a lot
cool.
during this
It's fine.
time. And it's in Mexico City. And she also plays a big part in
Girls
popular
Trip.
culture too. So I don't know if you've seen the Disney movie Coco, but there's a song about her.
I
Oh,
If
know
you go to
I
the
of
haven't,
it.
next
I've been
photo,
wanting to.
it's
There's
a
a
good
song about
movie.
her?
Yeah. So if you go to my next photo, you'll see that's her
This is
representation.
so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this before because when I worked at my old job, you're like planning events for kids, and I'm like Finding Nemo, forgetting that movie is like 30 years old or 25 years old. So yeah, these are new ones where I'm like
Right.
they've flown past me, so I'm familiar, but I've never seen them.
Yes.
This looks really cool.
Yeah, you would like this one. I enjoyed watching it. I mean, I have kids, so I watch all of them now, but
Gonna
I
add
I
that
would
to
watch
my
this
list.
as a grown-up too, so. And then, of
Pixar makes amazing
course
movies, though.
right. And La Llorona's been in a few movies over time, but obviously most recent well, not even most recent, there's been one other one since then I haven't seen, but in 2019, The Curse of La Llorona, which is my next photo, I think obviously Conjuring is gonna make her look creepy at
Yes.
AF, right?
She
So,
looks
Mhm.
awesome.
yeah, she's got Chantel's hands, right,
Yeah.
for today?
I mean, she's got a
Chantel
little more
has
than
better
one.
nails. Chantel has
Chantel
better nails
does
than
have
her.
better nails,
It's
yes.
for the digging and the scratching.
Yeah, of course. But they're obviously representing her as, the woman in kind of white or gray, I guess, in this case, with
I
the
mean, it
veil.
it was
Well,
white at one
yeah,
point, I'm sure.
Listen, once you
exactly.
get into some water, you get a little muddy.
Yeah. You haven't
It's
seen
gonna
this movie,
happen.
right?
I have.
You have?
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. So, well, then you know it.
I didn't know there was a second one, though.
Well, it's not a second one for this, it's just another one came out, I guess, that I haven't seen, which is
Oh,
just separate from this
That's so
the
weird, okay.
Conjuring universe one. Yeah. So I mean, I thought the movie was okay. I thought it was kind of scary, but again, just needed more of that story that I mentioned
yeah.
earlier. So today the story is passed along as a way to keep children in line and kind of warn them about going out at night. Um, and I know it would definitely have kept me I would have been home way before dark if the story was ever told to me.
Well, and especially if you grew up and, like, and your grandma was telling the story and your mom and your
Right. If
cousins and
grandma's telling it, it's gotta be true.
because a lot of the stuff you don't hear about until, like, someone's older sister tells you once. But, like, if it's, like, really ingrained, I'd be like, "This is real." Like, I would really
Yeah.
feel like it's real.
Yeah. I would too, especially if you have people in your family saying like, "No, I've heard her," and it does sound like people really have heard her. So if you want to hear some direct tales, I recommend going to Reddit. I did not put those
Love
in
Reddit.
our podcast because I feel like they're not my stories to share unless I've been given permission to share them. I was hoping to get
Yeah, once
some
they're on Reddit, they're for
firsthand.
anybody.
That's fair enough, fair enough. But
That's how that whole, like, Reddit story series even exists now, where people just
That's like
read
half the
Reddit
channels on YouTube or people reading Reddit stories.
stories, yeah. They are not asking for permission.
Although, I
fair
I
enough.
did a couple posts and I've had people reach out to me asking if they could use my story, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's nice." And
Some
then
places do because they just want you to know that it's gonna be on there as
yeah, which
well,
I
but
which I think is nice. A lot just I
yeah.
I think, Lindsay, if you want, because 'cause I'd like to read them, you can, link the posts, and then we'll just credit the user. Sometimes the user even deletes their account, and it's like, the story's just out in the world. So we can post
Mhm.
some that you thought were really, integral to your research, and
Right.
then
I
if you wanna read
mean,
them, you can read them.
I could share one, I guess. Maybe
I would like to hear one.
Me
I'll
too.
kind of read between
Your
the
witch
lines.
hands creep me out, Chantel, god damn it. They come
Okay.
out of nowhere. They're like,
This user posted this story that her mother told her a few times. And she says that every time, like, she tells it, she feels like there's someone watch. Oh my God, Chantal.
"Oh, Chantel, don't you dare focus."
Oh, Chantal,
God.
for our listeners, is making her creepy nun face, and it's very
She
effective.
was
I was
going
just
to.
I was just
I know, she's
watching.
just listening.
I'm just together listening, that's all.
Yes.
Oh my god.
So she said her mom was from a small town in Mexico and that when she was around 14, she used to, wake up her mom in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom because they were in an old house. Then the bathroom was actually like outside, like in an outhouse. So she didn't want to go alone.
Damn.
So she said that
Fair, I get it.
around 3 a.m., she woke up and felt the need to use the restroom. So she began calling for her mom, and her mom was not responding. So she was starting to get like kind of upset. She's like, I got to go to the bathroom. So at that point, she turns around and at the foot of her bed, she sees her mother standing there. Um, she suddenly felt extremely cold and a sense of dread. Um, and she had never seen her mother wear a white robe before. She looked down and saw her mom's feet were not touching the floor. At that moment, she screamed and threw the covers over her head, and her mom was wearing something completely different, runs into the room. So, like, her actual mom runs in, not wearing the white robe.
Yeah.
Um,
And she had feet.
yes, and she found her daughter, like, screaming in bed, basically. So nobody believed her mother's story and just told her it was a dream, until a few days later, there was a power outage, and, during this time, her mom and a few of her siblings all decided to sleep in the living room because of the power outage. Around 3 a.m. the same time, they heard the wails of La Llorona down the street, and none of them were able to sleep. So everyone heard her later on and then I guess believed her. But imagine like
Yeah.
seeing her in your
Hey,
room.
I had chills the whole time that
Yeah,
you were telling that story.
I will link this story. And then there's a bunch of other
Oh.
stories in this thread that are
Okay.
very scary. So
That is such a classic though of the whole like dark figure. And I mean even myself, I've thought I've seen people and then you
yeah,
know how you like open your eyes wide and you like try to find the phone without or the light without like moving your eyes. As soon as you move your
Yeah.
eyes, it's gone.
Yeah.
right.
And I click on the light and it's like a towel on the back of the door or it's like
Yeah.
a jacket on the
Well,
end of a bed or something.
Chantal, you have night terrors, right?
I sleep paralysis.
Sleep
Yeah.
paralysis, sorry. And do
Yeah.
you see
So
anything when you have sleep
oh,
paralysis?
yeah, I've, like, seen things actually, one that's been the creepiest was probably it was, like, my 2nd time having it. I was staying at my mom's place and, because I just had an accident, that's when the sign hit me, and so, like, I was
Oh.
recovering.
Oh, I thought you were saying you had an accident, like you peed.
No, no, as in, like, I was recovering,
Right.
Was
and,
it the giant O?
yes.
Yeah, for those who
Yeah,
don't
that's right.
know, Chantal once got hit with the giant O from a sign, the Roots sign. Um,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where's your favorite
so
sweater?
I'm there, yeah, I'm there, and, I just saw, like it looked like a dead child. Like, they were small, they were just because their head was just able to kinda come over the bed, and they were walking around the bed, just never taking their eyes off me, just walking the
that is
perimeter of the bed.
terrifying.
And I remember that I could hear my mom in the kitchen, and I'm thinking, like, "Okay," like, because when you're having sleep paralysis, there's always these moments where you're like, "Okay, I know that I am in my house. I know that I'm safe, but like something is happening and something feels off." Like the first time I had sleep paralysis, I was in my house, but like I was covered in this blanket that I was like, I haven't had this blanket since I was like 6. So like it's something is off. But yeah, I just saw this like so he looked like kind of wet and dead and he was just watching me the entire time, and I remember trying to scream for my mom because I could hear her. The kitchen was, like, right across from because I was in her bed, so the
My
kitchen was
God.
right across from her bedroom. Like, I couldn't scream, I couldn't make a noise, I couldn't move. You're just stuck there just, like, having this thing watch you. And, another time that was really scary I finally came out of it because somebody called my phone. So I, like, woke up to my phone, and I was able to get myself out of it.
Damn,
Another
yeah.
time that was really scary was I was sleeping in my bed, with my boyfriend at the time, and I felt this pressure on my chest, and then I felt them like it's like I couldn't breathe because they were sitting on top of me, and then all I heard in my ear was them go, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." And
I remember you
then
told me about that
I've heard
one
that I've
'cause
heard
that
this
one was
story because
yeah,
I've never
and
forgot that.
and then I eventually got myself out of that one, and then I just had to sleep, like, basically sitting up for the rest of the night because every time that I would fall asleep, I'd fall back into the sleep paralysis, so, anyway, sleep paralysis is not fun. You see there's actually a lot of stories online where people see the same thing,
yeah.
like these almost like witch-like, nun-like figures a lot of the time,
Like looking in the
um
mirror.
but yeah, it's definitely not fun, and I mean, things like that that kids see could be a sleep paralysis that they're having where they're seeing these things in the sleep,
Right.
but I mean, the fact that their whole family heard this wailing
Yeah, that's a
overhear,
little
obviously
Yeah,
a little
it makes it
more
a little
creepy.
and I've heard if you lie on your back too, it's, like, more likely to happen, and Chantal,
Yes,
you are a
but
notorious
actually
back sleeper, I know that.
I am a notorious backsleeper, but I was actually sleeping on my side the other night, and it happened to me, so I think
Oh
I'm
my
just
god,
fucked.
side's not safe
literally the
either?
other night?
Yeah, there's just
You
no safety for me
what
at
happened the other
all.
night?
I can't really remember what happened, but I knew that I was in the sleep paralysis and just the room always feels weird. Like, the room just
Mhm.
feels heavy and weird when it happens, and,
Yeah.
like, you're not able to wake up and get yourself out of it, and then, I told
Oh.
Megan too, one really bad one was after we had watched,
Marianne.
Marianne. Yeah.
Oh, that show
Oh
was
my god,
so
it's good.
So
I
good.
started
scary.
watching it.
Yeah,
I
so it was
Mm.
after
finished.
we watched the first episode, I had really bad sleep paralysis that night, but it
Mhm.
kind of, like, I mean, I probably get it a couple times a month now. It's not,
That's a
like,
Oh my god, that's a
lot.
lot.
well, I guess I've seen some things online where
Mhm.
people say it happens to them all the time, so it doesn't feel crazy frequent to me.
And you don't always
But to
see,
me,
Um
like, dead
that would be all the time, a few times a
people.
month.
No, but
It's like,
it's like it's, like, creepy, like, that first time that it happened, it was like I was in my apartment, and I'm walking around, and I could it's another thing where I could hear my mom, but my mom wasn't actually home that day, but I could hear her, and it's like every time you walk to the room that you think that she's not in it, and then there did become a moment where I could see myself sleeping in my bed, and then
Oh
I
my
was like,
god.
"Okay, so something's not right
That's
here."
like
Like,
astral projecting or something.
yeah, I'm like, "One of these things isn't real."
Yeah.
Like,
See, I've haven't
I
had, like, sleep paralysis, but I've had, like, I don't know how to what it's maybe if it's called something, but I used to, like, have this reoccurring dream where I'd wake up and I would, like, see someone at the end of my bed, like, someone I knew,
mm.
and they would go under my bed, and then I would start to, like, get
oh,
up
I
and try to
think you
look
said
for them,
this.
and I would start looking under my bed, and then I would kinda come to, I'm like, "Oh my god, like, I'm so scared now, like, I'm dreaming."
Yeah.
And I wasn't even scary in the first moment when I'm like, "Hey," like, I'd be like, "Oh, Chantel, hey, where are you going?" And I'd be
Why are
looking
you
for
going
you.
under here?
Right. And then I have
Lindsay,
other
you also
ones.
love to sleepwalk.
I do sleepwalk occasionally. It's very honestly, my last one was at Megan's parents' house because it
Yeah.
happens to
No,
me
it was when you were visiting us.
Oh, it happened then too? Right.
Yes, 'cause you got up and you kinda started walking around. I was like,
Oh,
"Lindsay, what are you
yeah.
doing?"
I
You were
think I
like,
thought I was at
"Oh,
That's right.
it
right,
happens to
I'm
me. So
here."
when I'm wake up in a place that I'm not, familiar
Familiar.
with, even though I've been to your place,
Mhm.
but I just especially with your parents'
No,
place,
but
it's just I haven't
yeah.
you kinda if I go to bed, especially if I've been drinking maybe, and I forget that I'm going to bed in a different place, I'll wake up
Mhm.
confused and disoriented. Like, I think I thought Megan was like, "Where's Eric?" or something. I'm,
Yeah.
like, looking for
It's
sometimes I do that at
me.
home.
I'm Eric.
Even here, I'll sometimes do that. I'll, like, wake up and I'm, like, looking for my mom or something, like, I thought my mom was staying over or I'm
Okay.
confused and Eric's like, "What? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So I
I
get
mean, that was scary
confused.
though when you told us it was
Interesting
the one at
sleepers.
Megan's parents' place
Right.
because
So I woke up I
That was
stayed
scary.
in her brother's room because he wasn't there, and I actually never had been in that room. I just literally went in there at night and slept, so I didn't even, like, get my surroundings. So when I woke up, I had no idea where I was. I thought I'd broken into some house, and I was, like, very confused and scared. I didn't know where I was. I literally ran out to the driveway, and it wasn't until I was outside that I realized I was at Megan's parents' place.
So scary.
It was
Yeah.
scary. I hadn't had it that bad in a long time, so I try to, like
However, you did the right thing. You wake up somewhere where you don't know, get outside.
I know, I was like,
Like,
"I need to get out
get
of
I'm
here.
get
I do not
here.
know
away.
where I am." Um, and then other ones I have are, like, I'll wake up and I think I'm holding, like, a cup and I'm, like, dropping it as I'm waking up and I'm like, "Oh, where did it go?" Like, and I'm trying to find where
Oh,
I put it. I don't know if it's so weird, or I'll do it, like, same thing, I'll have something in my hand, I think I've dropped it and lost it, and then I'm, like, half looking for it, and I'm like, "Wait, am I dreaming? Was that really
god.
something in my hand?" I don't know.
I have something too, but it's not nearly to the extent that you guys experience it. So mine's gonna sound so lame. I wish I had like a it's gonna sound so bad. So it doesn't matter what bed I'm in. I'll be in that weird kind of like half awake, half asleep. Like you know how sometimes when you're falling asleep, your body like bounces like
That
you had
Oh,
jolt.
yeah.
fallen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. And I'll be yeah, and then like that twilight zone of asleep and awake. And I'll look over on the other pillow or on the bed or on the wall, and there'll be one to hundreds of bugs, or they'll
Ooh,
be
I
on me,
that's
and then
creepy.
I will fling the bed. I'll like I'm getting like chills thinking about it, and I'll like launch out of the bed, and there's nothing because I don't know I'm dreaming I guess, but I'm kind of awake, and that
Yeah.
happens, like, not all the time, but that happens, and it's horrendous, and then, when you're, like, quickly, like, wiping down the bed, like, you're trying to, like, get the bugs off of you, I'll wake up, like, doing that on the floor. It's just
Okay.
anyway,
That is
it
Oh
that's
god,
happens.
okay.
I feel like that is
Hate
kinda
it.
similar to mine and my last one anyway. Like, it's still,
Yeah,
like, you
but
think there's
yours
something
is
there and I
Yeah.
mean, bugs everywhere is, I think for a lot of people, I'm not super scared
It's,
of
like,
bugs,
almost
but for a
always
lot of people,
spiders or
it's
centipedes.
pretty scary.
Listen, I'm not scared of bugs either, but I don't want like 100 on me at once. Like,
Right. Especially if they're
I'll
cockroaches.
I'll say it. I
Ugh.
don't like
I'll
peanut
say
butter
it. Hot
bugs, okay?
take.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got to share some of our own like
Hmm.
spooky stories at the end for Halloween.
Not as creepy as having a demon mom at the foot of your bed, and
Right.
also the scariest thing about that story is that you don't have indoor plumbing. That's the scariest thing about that
I mean,
story.
yeah, imagine having to go outside to
Gosh.
like, oh,
I've stayed in
we're living in a
cottages like
good
that
time
before.
and
It's not
very,
fun.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, like, I'm half kidding. I think that to live like that, you probably just get used to it eventually.
yeah,
You guys remember the cabin that I've been to a few times, up
Mm,
north here in Ontario,
yeah.
that really adorable A-frame? I'll link it because it's a really great spot if you guys live in Ontario. So they are semi off grid. So they have full water, everything's all good to go. But
yeah,
when you get to like November, probably until March, maybe, there is no running water. So they provide you water. And there's a beautiful outhouse,
yeah,
beautiful. I've only looked at it and I've never had to use it.
yeah,
So, I mean, I'm not opposed to doing that occasionally. Just to live like that would be challenging, I think.
yeah.
At
Yeah.
least now. Like I've never.
I think we'd find even our parent, like I know my mom had I don't know if their bathroom was outdoors or
Yeah.
not, like in a separate spot, but like her house was pretty rustic, growing up too.
Damn,
And my
that's
grandma was even
pretty
telling me
rustic.
about like, she lived in Montreal. That's where she grew up. And like their apartment didn't have, it's not like you have heating everywhere. It's like this one like oil heater. And you had to like, kind of hope that this would heat everything else. And it sounded
Mhm.
like
That almost
pretty,
sounds more like
and it's
common,
dangerous
I think,
too,
than not.
probably having like,
Yeah.
you want to bump into it. So
Well,
Yeah,
when
it's
we
hot.
go to the bungalow in the fall or winter one time, because like, isn't that so much fun?
yes.
Obviously, I'll give Chantel extra blankets. Lindsay, I know that you're a cold girl too. I'll give you lots of blankets, but
Yeah,
there is a
I like
wood.
blankets.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's gonna be cold because there's no heat. So
Mhm.
there's like the wood burning stove. But imagine we're all having a glass of wine and we have like the crackling wood inside,
Yes.
watching Practical Magic, probably
It
Right.
just depends. Like, I lived in a house in New Zealand that, was in the South Island, so it was during the wintertime, and
colder.
their houses originally Queensland or Queenstown was kind of made for, like, summertime, and then they realized, "Oh, the wintertime's really great here, there's lots of skiing and
Yeah.
snowboarding and things like that you can do," and then but the houses weren't properly insulated, they were made for the summer.
Oh,
So
okay.
we stayed in a house that wasn't properly insulated, and we had this, like, one little, oil heater that broke, like, just as the winter got to its worst.
Of
They
course it
hadn't
would.
properly cleaned the fireplace chimney, so the fires weren't that great that we were having. Like, literally, if we were not sleeping, we some nights we had to sleep in the living room just next to the fire just to stay warm
Oh,
because
wow.
our rooms were so cold. I had, like, a down comforter, extra sheets. My friend that I was living with, she had a heated blanket, so every once in a while, we would just sleep in the same bed to have the heated blanket as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's not great. I don't like it.
No.
No.
I choose not to do that. Sorry. I will not be going to the bungalow.
Yeah. Well, you can stay with me again, Chantal. I feel like when
Okay.
especially if we watch scary movies, I'm like, I have to sleep next to Chantal
Next
or
to
something.
someone? Yeah.
I was
You for your
so,
sleepwalking, me for my sleep
I know,
paralysis.
together we'll like save each other somehow, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll make sure that before we all go to sleep, we'll do numerous bungalow tours again. So it's like bedroom, Lindsay,
Yeah.
Lindsay, look at
Yeah,
the
I gotta get a good
exits,
visual in the day
bedroom.
of where I am. Remind
Yeah.
myself at bedtime I am sleeping in the bungalow. I actually I don't know if like I don't think it happened at all at the bungalow that last time. I think
There
it was
was
totally
there was
fine.
too much good energy. I mean, that bungalow, man,
Right.
that's such a special place.
Well, also the bungalow is so, like, small and not soundproof at all that we would have heard you trying to leave the bungalow in the middle of the night, so
Yeah, because the door had a lock
Yeah,
and a
you're a light
deadbolt,
sleeper,
and
right,
so
Chantal? Like you put hear me get up.
No, I'm actually a pretty heavy sleeper, but I'm sure I would wake up to that,
That's fair.
so
sorry, the coughing's coming back now.
that's okay.
Well, that was an awesome, awesome, awesome job, Lindsay.
Mhm.
Thank you. I had fun researching it. Hopefully we'll have maybe some more stories come through. If anyone has one they want
Yes,
to
and we will
share it, please.
Yeah.
insert them if we get it
Right.
before the window is out.
Right. Or I'll do a special little like tiny segment of where I just tell ghost stories. So
And we can turn them into reels
yes.
and just
That'd
keep
be
this
good.
content going forever.
Yes. That'd be a good idea. We'll put them as like reels on our
And
social if you
also
have
in
one.
general, any ghost stories at all, any experiences or like, "Oh, I grew up thinking this," or
Or
"My mom
weird
or grandma told me
dreams,
about that."
like how we've
Do you
just
have sleep
discussed.
paralysis?
Yeah.
Do
Yes.
you also dream of spiders falling on you? Do you also wake up and you're outside a house because you've never been there before, like Lindsay
Right.
does, or,
You also
anything
have
kind of
people sleeping on top of your chest telling you they're gonna kill you.
Yeah. Lucky Chantal.
oh god, that's just the worst. Yeah,
But I think a lot of this
you
stuff
can
too, like you
keep all
can
that.
attribute it to, you know, either sleep issues or mental health things. But
Mhm.
La Llorona,
Stress and
it's really interesting that so many people, it's so widespread, have this version or variation, and so many different people have said they've heard her. It's just it makes it that much creepier.
yeah.
Has
Ugh.
anyone ever looked into, like, if there's an animal in the area that might sound like a wailing person
No, Chantal,
or
it's
A
definitely a ghost.
okay, got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, yeah. Sorry.
The
I'll not lock it away.
cougars or panthers, I mean, I'm not sure. Some have the
Yes,
same name
it
but different,
could,
but
yeah.
they sound like
Even like
women
owls
screaming.
maybe or something could sound kind of
By the way,
creepy.
an owl did not kill that woman. The husband killed the woman. I'm just saying, I
Yeah,
forget their
yes, right,
names.
The
right.
staircase, yes.
Yeah.
Is it Peterson?
Well, he didn't
There you go.
say, he just put out that theory because he's like, maybe this.
Maybe an owl.
Yeah, it
Wasn't
was
there, like,
actually
a
a really
feather something?
interesting
There was a I
series
know,
though on
yeah.
Netflix, The Staircase.
Oh, it
I
was good, but I knew right away. I'm like, "Well, he did it. He did it."
Well, he also had another
Anywho.
wife, right? I mean,
Who,
he
yeah,
ended up
died mysteriously.
on The
Yeah.
Staircase too. But
Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting and to that series. And he ultimately, I think he pleaded an Alford plea, which is like, "Hey, I realize that you have all the evidence
Yeah.
against me. I don't want to admit I'm guilty, though." That's
Yes.
essentially
Yeah, it pretty much means that you're going to accept all the things that come with the guilt, but you're not going to admit to anything because
right.
it's like you have a case, you can prove that I did it. So I'm like, I'll
And
just
I don't
take
have
it.
enough to prove that I didn't, so we'll just go with what you say.
Yeah.
Because you did do it.
Because you did it. You definitely did it.
Oh my god, what if we do the whole show like this going forward?
Some people really like it, but some people won't.
Yeah, but or I can just talk normally. You guys whisper. We'll probably the same volume level since I'm the quiet one.
Here we go. For once,
That's
we'll all be the same volume if we do that.
hilarious. Yeah, no, we won't though still.
Yeah,
I'll still be louder somehow, or Chantal will
somehow.
still be louder.
Well,
Well, this
thank
was
you,
great, you
ladies,
guys.
and thank you for dressing up today. You both look great. And if anyone wants to see our costumes, you can go to our YouTube as well.
Yes.
And
And
please,
also Instagram.
please follow
Maybe
us
like
on
take
Apple Podcasts because we are. I mean, maybe we are there now. I'll check after this
check right
recording.
now. Some real beautiful soul commented on our YouTube video, and I was like, "You're awesome." Also, please go to Apple and follow. And she was like, "Okay, done." And I was like, "Oh, so maybe we're at 100."
We might
Hold
be,
on,
yeah. Because the other
Lindsay,
day,
you
I
look it
mean, I
up.
can look up right now. You keep talking.
I'm gonna see what her name is. I'm gonna give her a shout out. Her name is Madeline. I'm not gonna say the whole thing, but if she replies, then I'll say it. But her name is Madeline or Madeline. She commented on one of our YouTube videos. So 2 thumbs up to you,
Thank you.
sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Thanks for commenting. We love
Maybe
it.
yeah, maybe she put us over the edge. Dan, that would be cool.
And thanks to Dylan at my work who put 2
Yes.
people onto our podcast as well. We really appreciate that.
And thank you
And well,
to
also
Cecilia, my friend, who
yes, yeah.
gave her origin story
One
from
of the
her childhood.
creepiest stories I've ever
Yeah.
heard, by the way.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And now we're gonna talk about the shit list. Findley and Andrew Stroken have not commented recently. So what, are we not cool anymore? Just you know
Wow.
what? You can't give us all that sugar at the beginning just to take it away. All
Yeah,
right.
that's fair, that's
I've become
fair.
accustomed.
I
Right.
mean,
So
and Stroken has, like, messaged me in between and been like, "Hey, I'm sorry I've gotten
100
behind."
followers. We're at
yay!
100.
Thanks, Madeline. She could have been
Thank
number
you.
100.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yes,
But also
he has
Stroken.
said that he's been busy and got behind, so I'll forgive
Oh, yeah.
him.
I
He's
mean,
been trying to
Finley and
keep
I have
up
known
with
each
me.
other for like over a decade. He has no excuse. I'll be messaging him shortly.
And he's literally my neighbor living in Chantel's old apartment. So there's so many
Right. Yeah.
connections that for him just to not comment on everything is just rude,
It's
frankly.
How
unacceptable.
dare he?
Like, what? Do you have a life or something outside of listening to us?
Come on. We are your life.
I was gonna say this is the life right here.
You love us.
Oh my
All right,
gosh.
guys, we're gonna
Speaking
ramble.
of,
Right.
okay, well, it's too late for
Thank
that
you,
already.
everyone. Happy Halloween.
Happy
And
Happy Halloween.
we will see you all next week.
Okay, bye.
Boy, I'm a ghost.
Thank you for listening today. We loved having you. If you liked the episode, share with your friends, family, or anyone who would enjoy it. Also, take a moment to review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leaving us a like or comment really helps. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, please visit our coffee page at www.ko-fi.com/coastfiles. Email us at coastfilespod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at coastfilespod, or visit our website at www.coastfiles.com. You can find the sources for today's episode on our website. See you next week with a new episode.